This is the Four-Man Rush. Hello, Panther fans, and welcome to another podcast of the Four-Man Rush. I'm your host, Timmy V.O., here with my man, Kevin, and we're on that cover one, daddy. Man-to-man, get it together. Recording live from the new studio in Old North Cackalack, Lexington, North Carolina, to be exact. And we're going to talk about some preseason. Well, it's preseason. I wish it was preseason. Some off-season football. So the topics for tonight's discussion is going to be, of course, we're saying our farewells to Mr. Olsen. We weren't able to record last week, so we're going to give our due respect to Mr. Greg and all he's done for the Charlotte area and for the Carolina Panther organization as a whole. We're going to talk about
Tepper.
Oh yeah, Tepper. Yeah, Tepper's interview and thanks, Kevin. Tepper's interview and how he was enacting, sarcasm in the conversation with the media, but the written reports didn't reflect that. So we're going to give you the actual situation dealing with Tepper and Cam's contract, and some more Panther news, man. We've been doing some, well, not we, but the Panther organization has been doing some signing and things of that nature, and there's a particular designation, these players that we re-signed, and we'll dig into that too. We'll give you some technical terms and technical definitions and backgrounds of some of this contractual situation. So hold on to your hats, folks. The Four-Man Rush podcast is back in the building. Dig it. Glad you guys are here with us. So, Kevin, man, let's start off with my man Greg Money O, aka the Miami Kid, aka the Golden Boy, aka just throw it to him. Shit, he'll catch it. Oh man, Kev, I'm gonna speak on my man Greg for us, bro.
Hey man, if you're gonna throw all them titles, man, you gotta use the one from his college days, G-Reg with the third leg.
Hey! G-Reg with the third leg.
What y'all know about that Miami, University of Miami swag, the U as they call it.
The U.
I think they'll call it the 7th floor boys or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, man. Yeah, he's something else. Old Greg.
But as far as his career, Greg Olsen, man, I mean, what can I say? Absolutely the best tight end the Carolina Panthers ever had. He was able to do something that no tight end in NFL history ever done. 3 consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards receiving from 2014, 2015, and 2016. We're talking about someone that up until the last 2 years of his, career with the Panthers had not missed any time and hardly took any snaps off the field. Mr. Consistency, Mr. Reliable. Let Cam Newton tell it. Greg Olsen was the one that he always joked around to make sure that the play was called right and everybody was lined up, essentially a coach on the field. Man, it's just, we in the Four-Man Rush, we had talked about it, heading into the offseason, that this was something that we knew would be a strong possibility of happening due to the simple fact that, number one, Greg Olsen's turning 35. Number two, he's coming off back-to-back seasons where he had injuries. And even though he played in all 16 games in the 2019 season, 500 yards and 2 touchdowns, and his 2020 salary was going to be $11.8 million.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong. As a fan, love Greg Olsen. Would have loved to seen him play one more with Cam back, because what Cam always said, wait till I get my dog back. Wait till I get my dog back. That's. I definitely could say that was probably Cam Newton's best friend on the team, Greg Olsen, if I had to make a speculation, but
For sure.
it's it's a time of change, and there's a sunrise and there's a sunset, and the sunset for Greg Olsen as a Carolina Panther after 9 seasons has come, and he's someone that established himself. He was huge in the community. I believe one of his kids, his son, was born with a rare heart defect, and he ended up forming this organization called the Hardest Yard, which helped other families who were dealing with children who had, who were born with certain heart defects. One of the things I'll never forget about Greg Olsen was how he told the story of Mr. Richardson himself taking his family on his private jet to fly around to doctors all across the country to finally, find out what's going on and to get the help that they needed for his kid. And I think that's something that needs to be said, about not only Mr. Richardson, but about Greg Olsen. And, just someone that was always brutally honest on and off the field. He was always Mr. Business on the field. Even when 2015, the year of the dab, we were all celebrating, Greg still had the serious face. And, he was just someone that was about his business. So he's just going to be someone that I'm just going to always think highly of. And so many big moments of his. I think my favorite one was when he caught that winning touchdown in Seattle 2015 when we finally beat the Seahawks. I think that's probably my most favorite Greg Olsen moment. Yeah. How he just ran straight up the seam and split the corner. Richard Sherman and the safety Earl Thomas and caught the touchdown that finally got that Seattle Seahawk monkey off our back that season. So definitely going to miss him. His leadership, his playmaking ability. I definitely wish him well. Wherever he decides to go. I know that last checked, he had visited the Buffalo Bills. And if I believe this week, it was going to be, I think he met with the Redskins on Monday. I know today's Tuesday, and I believe he's got a scheduled meeting in Seattle with the Seahawks on Wednesday. And he even mentioned that New England had him as possibly a third choice as well. Now, I even read up a little bit over the weekend and saw that Olsen kind of thought that the Chicago Bears might reach back out to him, but he hadn't received a call from them. And I know I checked on the Chicago Bears Twitter and fan page, and I know a lot of Chicago Bear fans would love for Olsen to come back and finish his career where he started, especially with the injuries they've had at tight end the last couple of years. So, it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. If for whatever reason he doesn't sign with nobody, I think he'll make a smooth transition to the booth. I listened to him Saturday do the XFL game between, I think it was New York and I forgot who they played, the New York XFL team. Yeah, man, go miss Olsen. He truly was one of a kind, and definitely wish him the best moving forward.
Yeah, I hate it had to end like this, man. I'm with you on that. He went through so much to get back on that field. And I know I speak for all Panther fans, I'm sure. When I say I really look forward to him and Cam acting a fool this past season, and it just didn't come about. That's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. But one thing I liked about Greg, and if you didn't keep up with the Panthers like that, you might not understand this, but he was a funny guy. Greg is a funny guy, man. I mean, he has this thing about him, man. Like he can flip the switch when it's go time, it's go time. But man, he's a hoot, man. He has a very broad taste of music. He's a trip, man. He is, and a hell of a father. If you guys watch that Amazon Prime show about the Panthers that season, and Greg was out there with his boys, man, he's serious about the game of football, right? But he's a hell of a father, man. You can tell he really really cares for his kids and his family. And his family got his back, man. A hell of a role model, a hell of a role model. And you don't play this long in the NFL as a tight end without putting in work and taking care of your body. And so it's this has been one hell of a season, folks. Not from a win-loss perspective, but from a loss perspective. Luke, potentially Cam, Olsen. My God, man, it's just wow. Bradbury might be. I mean, this is crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, my favorite Olsen moment obviously is that Seattle 2015. That was huge, man. That was huge. It just felt so good, and the way we won it, marching it down the field, getting us in position to make that strike in the end zone, man. Oh, that propelled us, especially from um, a standpoint of looking at ourselves and taking a look at each other in that locker room, like, yeah, we can do this. And that's why we ran 2015 like it was no joke, man. That was a record setting season, obviously, but Olsen was a huge part of that. I just hate that he couldn't play with Cam one full season, man. It's just really unfortunate. But yeah, that cap hit, I ain't taking that. I ain't taking that cap hit, man. I love you, Greg, but bruh, we gotta build, bro. Yeah, we gotta build, and I think that's why they just mutually parted ways. It's just a mutual respect thing, and yeah, we'll miss you, big guy. We'll miss you. It's gonna be literally a whole new team next year. Literally. Fuck around, Cam might be going too. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, Tim, and I was going to say, but this is also a great opportunity for, Ian Thomas, Chris Manhertz, also Alex Armour, because he can play some tight end as well. With Matt Rule talking about player development, these are the type of moves that will allow players that wouldn't normally get as much reps and works as they in because of established all-pro veterans such as Olsen to finally, get their shot. We got to see what these guys have. I mean, Ian Thomas is now coming up on his third season. Alex Armour's in his fourth season. We've had Manhurst on the roster. I believe now this is going to be his third or fourth season as well. And, these are guys that I've seen in training camp the last few years, and I've seen what they can do when given opportunity. And now I know you can't put so much stock into, what you said, training camp. Yeah, I get that aspect. But as far as, ability to catch, run routes, and block, I mean, these are the type of guys that, if given a chance to get an opportunity, I think they're going to surprise a lot of folks and be like, wow, where was this all along? Well, sitting on the bench behind Olsen. I think that this will be a golden opportunity for them guys to get a chance. There's been rumors, speculation. Former Carolina Tar Heel Eric Ebron is someone that has been recruited by Trey Boston to come to Carolina.
Figures.
And for any of you Duke fans out there, y'all lucked up. We about had y'all, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
Leave it alone.
But seriously though, so it's definitely some decent tight end free agents that's out there. Now, I love the tight end prospects in this upcoming draft. I mean, wow, my goodness. If we're ever going to go cheap but still be talented, I can see us spending a day 3 pick on a variety of different tight ends. And like I said in the IG Live pregame, Tim, as a fan, I just want to see us max out the salary cap and develop players. So I'm not too big on us spending a lot of money on free agency, any big money that is, because like I said, we got 32 in the cap and 27 in dead money. So, kind of want us to be careful with what we do with our money. But overall, I see this as a good opportunity for some young tight ends to get their chance.
Yeah, I like to see that. I like to see that. I have a lot of faith in Arma, and we were talking about that in the pregame. Arma has hands, folks. He has a really really good skill set in catching the football. And I, hopefully having a fresh OC. Nothing against the Turners, but having a fresh OC might just do something for Arma. You look at the 49ers, how they were utilizing their fullback in the passing game. I mean, if you make the fullback a threat and you can utilize him in a whole bunch of different sets, it's going to make it even that more difficult to scheme against our offense. Jesus, having him in a split back situation with McCaffrey come on, man, we got to utilize this guy. We got to. And if you draft one of these, like Kevin said, one of these crazy athletic tight ends that's coming in the draft this year, ooh buddy, If you look at the past 2, 3, well hell, I mean, just you look at the Patriots. They had Gronk. You look at the Eagles. They utilized several tight ends in that Super Bowl run. You look at the 49ers. They have a hellacious tight end and a fullback situation. And you see what they did, man. It's really hard when you can run the football and you have a fullback and a tight end out there that can catch the football and get out in the flat, get out and run those routes. The skinny post and all that stuff, man, dude. You're gonna wreak havoc on those linebackers and safeties, man. And I think we should really try to do that this year, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you look at it from an X and O point of view, Tim, think about it. We come out there in 21 personnel, which is, two backs, Armour and McCaffrey, one tight end, assuming Ian Thomas, and two wide receivers, Moore and Samuel. Mm-hmm. And you get creative with your play design. We know that McCaffrey can shift out and play wide receiver.
Yep.
But hell, what if we did that with the Armour? Now we got base personnel, trying to cover potentially, 3 or 4 different, wide receiver sets. Now you got linebackers in space that, not used to it. And again, with the skill sets that a guy like Armour, Manhurts, and Ian Thomas can provide, you could rotate any one of them in the backfield with the McCaffrey and to give that 21 personnel look and then flex them out. So it definitely creates some opportunity to take some advantages and create some matchups that favor us. So yeah, I know a lot of people don't like it, but a lot of times the answer is really on the roster. It's just got to be given opportunities. Everybody get caught up in name brands and star-studded names. It doesn't always work like that because, you were just talking about the 49ers fullback. I think his name Juszczyk. It's a different spelling name, but, outside of 49er country, not a lot of people really knew about him, but you see how, effective he was. So yeah, you definitely got to, take advantage of the players that you have. And also we was talking about, offense coordinator Joe Brady. A name to come out that's in the draft, Randy Moss's son, Thaddeus Moss. He's a tight end. He's someone that's a potential day 2, day 3 pick, depending on how the draft falls. So, I don't want to say draft him strictly for the name, but, as far as ability, he got it. You can tell that his father has heavily influenced his football ability, with the way that he plays. So, we missed out on the father in '98. The son is there.
Get him.
I'd love to be at Bank of America saying, talking about you got mossed,
Right on, man. I'm not going to complain about that at all. So we've signed some players. And Kevin, I think there's a designation that's tied to these players that is unique, and a lot of people probably haven't heard of it. And I don't hear about it that often. Could you explain to us, explain to the fans what that is?
Yeah, sure. I'll be glad to do so. What it is called is that the players that we recently re-signed in the past few weeks are called exclusive right free agents.
Okay.
Here, and what that means, just trying to make sure I give good clarity here.
Oh, you good?
Here we go. So the official technical term is exclusive right free agents are players with 2 or fewer seasons of service time whose contracts have expired. So what that means is the first player I believe that was signed was running back Reggie Bonifant. Mm-hmm. He spent a year on the practice squad and he spent a year on the 53-man roster. So he is an exclusive rights player. Kicker Joey Sly, exclusive right player. This was his first year on the team. Signed as initially a camp body until we found out what happened with Gano. But once Gano was put on IR, he became that guy. Mm-hmm. Any player that's got 2 or fewer seasons, 2 or less, is known as exclusive rights. We are the only team that can negotiate with these players. Another one that's out there is quarterback Kyle Allen. He also falls up under the exclusive rights here, so nobody else can negotiate with him. A couple other players that were re-signed as well. Cole Luke from out of Notre Dame. He plays corner. He came in as a cornerback, got switched to nickel, but he can play both. So he's also a quote-unquote position flexibility player. Another guy, Brandon Green, he's an exclusive right free agent. I know many people don't know him, but this is also one of the players that we need to develop. He's an offensive tackle. I think he's someone that needs to definitely be getting some work. Also, one of our favorites, F.A. Obata, he qualified as exclusive right player. Guard Kid O'Brien. So and a tight end Marcus Ball. So these are little known players that had 2 years or less with the Carolina Panthers, whether it was practice squad or combination of practice squad and a regular roster, that could only be re-signed by the Carolina Panthers. So these players have been re-signed. The only one that hasn't been re-signed yet is Kyle Allen, but I think that'll get to that. So when Kyle Allen is re-signed, folks, that does not mean the end of Cam Newton. So let's go ahead and just nip that in the bud. Kyle Allen's contract will be less than $600,000. So these contracts are not going to affect the salary cap like that. We're talking about less than 0.1% as far as money goes. So don't worry, these players are not draining the cap being re-signed.
And there you go, folks. Great breakdown, man. I had no clue. I was like, exclusive? What the? Perfect. Now,
this is an exclusive.
Exclusive. Yeah. Turn it up. All right. So now, the major topic, because this is about a major individual. Tepper had a little verbal jousting today or recently with the media about one Cameron Newton, and we're going to talk about that because as far as Cam's concerned, he could be the difference in 5 or 6 wins, folks. I mean, when he's healthy, he's that dynamic. You know that. And Tepper was kind of being a little sarcastic with his speech, but that didn't get translated to the written copy of the interview. So we're going to talk about that and try to give you guys a more clear message or a clearer idea of what Tepper was talking about. Kev, what is going on with Mr. Tepper?
Well, allow me to provide a little backdrop of how this came to be. What started out as Mr. Tepper being charitable once again, his personal foundation, the David A. Tepper Charitable Foundation, along with the John M. Belk Endowment and the Carolina Panthers Charities, they all partnered together to do a donation for what they call Classroom Central. And what it was is it was a $120,000 check that will provide new school supplies to 800 elementary classrooms in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. So, Tim, by you, someone that's a teacher in the school systems, you know how important that is, those materials are.
Oh, yeah.
And so this took place inside of the Panthers locker room. So it was 60 teachers who were invited there that are in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools district. And as you know, Mr. Tepper and the other charities that I mentioned were represented by, by their people, made this donation. So, after that situation was said and done, of course, it was interview time. And, one thing we found out is, Mr. Tepper is not shy about speaking on the mic, So, as expected, as you set it up so nicely, Tim, they wanted to ask about, the elephant in the room. And so I'm going to make sure I paraphrase this right. And by the way, my source, because here at the Foreman Rush, we like to give credit because, we don't want nobody taking our credit when we put out information. So my source is coming from the CharlotteObserver.com website. The writer was Elena Getzenberg. So we just want to make sure that that's on the Foreman Rush works cited page. So in quotation, he was asked about Cam Newton, and this was Tepper's response. He said, "I said the same thing again and again about it. It's a question of how healthy his foot is and how he is otherwise, and that's still the number one overwhelming thing to see how healthy he is and how we can figure out when he's healthy or not. And everything comes from that." Now, that was word for word what Tepper said. And when you watch the video, you can tell by his facial expressions that he was, I want to say if he was annoyed, but I guess he's kind of tired of giving the same answer to the same question over and over, because it seemed like whenever he does, this is always the, initial question. Because, just less than 2 weeks ago, at the Super Bowl, Cam Newton had said that he absolutely believes that he will be in a Panthers uniform in 2020 after meeting with owner Mr. Tepper and new head coach Matt Rule. And these are the words spoken by Cam Newton here in quotations. Cam said, "Absolutely. I had an unbelievable conversation with Marty Herney, the GM, David Tepper, the owner, as well as Coach Rule. I left that meeting inspired." This is what Cam Newton said when he was on the Tiki and Turney radio show. By the way, for those who don't know, that's Tiki Barber, former NFL running back for the Giants. And Brandon Tierney, he's for those that follow CBS Sports, he's one of their big, radio sports announcers there. So that's pretty much what was said. And Cam finished by saying, "I told them you won't find another person in that locker room with more to prove, not only to you, but I have to prove to myself." And Mr. Tepper was asked about Cam's comments, and Mr. Tepper said the following, in quote, "I am not a doctor. I've said it a million times. Is he healthy? And he is not a doctor. Therefore, a lot of different things can happen. But first, is he healthy? Tell me that, and then we can talk." So when you watch Tepper do this, you can tell that they keep trying to ask the same thing in different ways. So he starts becoming a little sarcastic with it. He mentioned the lady that answers the phones. I forgot her name, because people asking, well, we heard this, and like, well, did you hear from her? Because she's the one that answers the phone. So, he was like looking and pointing like, yeah, that should go over there, I haven't heard anything like that. So, the media trying to, squeeze something out of nothing. And, Tepper had fun with it. But the way it was written up, none of the sarcasm was, quote, implemented as it was, echoed throughout the social media world. So, yeah, that's pretty much what it came down to was Tepper made a contribution to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. And right after that, instead of talking about that, they wanted to talk about Cam Newton. And I guess Tepper decided to have his own little jab with the media about that. But you can tell he's definitely getting annoyed with that being, the only thing people really want to talk to him about. So, yeah, that's pretty much what happened today in the Panthers locker room.
You gotta love Tepper's sense of humor, man. You want to play games? We'll play games. Yeah, duh. Yeah, but Tepper, he has a witty sense of humor, man. You gotta love that. It's complete 180 from Big Cat. But yeah, at the end of the day, folks, there's a contract negotiation going on between the Panthers and the Cam Newton camp. So at the end of the day, they're not saying shit. For real. I mean, they're not saying anything about Cam. So I mean, just the only thing we can do is truly just be patient, support Cam Newton because he is still a member of this team, and we'll go forward from there. Wish him the best in his recovery, because by God, if that man comes back healthy on that foot and that shoulder's had a season off, just relax. Still, the contract negotiations are going on, and one thing about the NFL and NFL players in general, you never talk about another man's money, and so they're not saying anything right now, man. Just be patient, Just know Cam is busting his ass as we speak. He's not playing around. I know that. So I can't wait to see what happens. Even. No matter where he goes, man, I can't wait to see what happens. But I would love it if he stayed a Panther and leave Tepper alone, man. Damn, he got enough to worry about. All that money. He got all that money, man. Just let that man live. He got things to do, people to see, nations to build. Oh man. So. I believe we touched on the topics of the evening. Any parting shots there, Mr. Avery?
Just looking forward to as we're getting closer. Just to let y'all know what's coming up on the NFL calendar. The NFL Combine is approaching, which is always usually held the last week of February. Mm-hmm. So, as you know, players are invited to college players are invited to the Combine, and it's always held in Indianapolis, Indiana. It starts Sunday, February 23rd, and ends on Monday, March the 2nd. So it's going to be a full 8 days. So pretty much every scout, GM, coach is going to be there and looking as players run 40 times, do bench reps, agility drills. Each team there have their own interview room where they be interviewing these players. So that's what's coming up next on the calendar. And, here in the Four-Man Rush, we're currently composing which players are being invited to the Combine. Definitely, particular players that we've already spoken to so far. So just be on the lookout. Just be on the lookout for that. So we just get a step closer to seeing who the new Panthers are going to be.
Yeah, man. Stay tuned, folks. It's only a little less than 2 weeks. Oh man, time flies when you're when you're a Panther fan. Oh, man. So, I hate that we missed last week, folks, but, we're back better than ever. We'll get the rest of the crew on next time, hopefully, and give you some more of what you guys been looking for and been waiting for in this Four-Man Rush podcast. So on behalf of the Four-Man Rush crew, Kevin Avery and Jadarius Canardo and Will and Norris and Vince and Larry and Monty. We'd like to say thank you guys for sticking around with us this long, 45th episode here. And, obviously you guys know where to go for the best Carolina Panther football news and football news in general. Well, I should say knowledge for that matter. Anybody can give you the news, but the breakdown of the game itself, that's the Four-Man Rush. You're not going to get that anywhere else. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. And whether you're listening to this podcast in the morning, afternoon, or evening, we hope you are doing okay. We hope you are feeling great, enjoying your life and your family and folks and friends. And please take this podcast with you and spread the word. We are the Four-Man Rush. Thanks, guys. You have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. And as always, keep pounding. Yeah, man.
I'm just taking time to really let it breathe. So baby, just chill. Yeah. She love it. We out in public and we can just chill with my partners and we can go back to my crib and just chill under covers and do we call me and you lovers.
The Four-Man Rush is brought to you by the love and respect of and for the Carolina Panthers and Carolina Panther fans everywhere. Keep pounding. The Four-Man Rush is a non-affiliate of the Carolina Panther organization. All thoughts, assessments, and content of this podcast is directly related to the Four-Man Rush exclusively. Thank you.